what are your questions coming inbound for you at the moment from diverse founders, diverse VCs who are now worrying about some of the funds perhaps that they've raised from corporate America?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Certainly, we were shocked by the brazenness of this lawsuit, but not at all surprised because we know this is part of a broader push to diminish diversity efforts in business. Certainly, there are lots of questions coming in and around, what does this mean for me, for my firm? But at the end of the day, suing firms like Fearless Fund does nothing to move the industry forward. It only reinforces existing inequities within venture. So, our message to those firms that are investing in underrepresented founders is to continue doing the work. This is going to be a long legal battle. It's just the beginning stages of it. So while that's playing out in the courts, we're encouraging firms to continue investing in underrepresented founders.
Now, we do know that the statistics are pretty awful when it comes to diverse allocation. I mean, ultimately, what is it? Less than 2% of overall capital deployed is in women-led startups. Black founders in the US getting even less than 1% of total venture. But to play the other side here, is it right that you should have affirmative action, that you should have certain funds allocated to only minority-led businesses to help with leveling up, to help with equitable distribution of capital? Is there another way of doing this, Joey?
At the end of the day, having more diversity among the investor class will enable more diverse or more checks to be written to underrepresented founders. So, we know that people tend to associate with and invest in other people who look like them. So, for us, we look at what does diversity look like across the venture ecosystem, across the ecosystem of people who are making those investments. And we've seen that because of the severe underrepresentation of specifically women and people of color, we're seeing that translate to who's actually getting checks. Ultimately, if we can get more dollars in the hands of underrepresented founders, they'll be able to build companies, penetrate new markets that a lot of investors aren't currently looking at, and ultimately build companies that will be durable and that can serve totally different segments of the population that are being overlooked right now.
Joey, we're looking at Chicago blend backers, Baird being one of them, Techstars, Manifold. Are any institutions, and I think of the Fearless Fund, for example, that has had money, multi-million-dollar allocations from MasterCard, from Costco, from Bank of America. How many of these institutional companies and institutions are worried about supporting non-for-profits like yours, funds like Fearless Funds?
Well, I can speak about the companies and the corporations that have been supporting us. I think they support us because they share our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They see the business case for why we need to continue investing in underrepresented founders. And, they've continued to support our work. So, although this chilling effect that your previous speaker mentioned is certainly very real, our message to them as well as to other funds is we need to remind ourselves of why we're doing this work. Ultimately, we need to focus on getting more dollars, more venture finance dollars in the hands of underrepresented founders. And that's ultimately how we're going to build a more equitable and competitive tech ecosystem.
So when someone is looking for advice, when they're looking at what's occurring in Georgia, when they're seeing what's happening with the Fearless Fund, what are you saying to VCs that do have a mandate as it stands to just allocate to women of color, people of color, diverse founders more broadly?
Yeah, well, people are definitely fired up. And right now we need to be educated about the legal issues and implications at hand. So that's where Chicago Blend has been focusing our energy. But we also need to be prepared to speak up and stand up against this broader backlash to diversity, whether it's in venture capital or in business more broadly. So again, our advice to firms that invest in underrepresented founders is to continue doing the work. That's ultimately how we're going to bring about positive change.
Are you seeing enough institutions speaking up?
Well, again, the organizations that we work with, they've been very supportive of our approach to, increasing diversity. But I do think that, it would be great for the business community to remember why they are investing in diversity efforts more broadly. several of the organizations that we work with, they make investments internally as well as externally to support diversity. And our message to them is please continue to double down on that.